Eden Hazard is still a Real Madrid player. Don't lie, you forgot about that too. In fact, not only is Eden Hazard still a Real Madrid player, but just the other day, he was asked if he was planning on staying at Real Madrid next year by what I can only imagine is some clueless journalist. Next year is the final year on his contract, and the reason I'm harshly saying this person must have been clueless is that what did they expect him to say? Nah, I don't like getting £400,000 per week, or maybe I've been in fantastic form. I could definitely get another team to pay me 20 million per year. Both plausible responses for sure. Here we have footage of Gareth Bale just before showing Eden Hazard how his meetings with Perez went every time he was asked to leave.
I'm not fucking leaving! The show goes on!
Now, I wouldn't expect anything different from my two personal goats in world football. Always about the bag, and I gotta respect it. Now, Bale just plays golf and basically vibes with hundreds of millions in the bank. He's an icon. In all seriousness though, the Eden Hazard situation is very odd. A player once of such high prestige nosediving immediately after securing the deal of their lifetime. Sure, it's happened before, but the sheer scale of it and the fact that it's happened to Real Madrid is wild. With that being said, what is happening with Eden Hazard? Yo, what is going on guys? Really hope you're all doing well. Since 2019, Real Madrid have won a very impressive amount of trophies at the highest level. A Champions League, 2 La Liga titles, recently a Copa del Rey, UEFA Super Cups, Supercopa de Españas, and a Club World Cup. They've completed football. In the same time frame, they've replaced Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo, and will likely be just fine when Karim Benzema leaves. Kroos, Casemiro, and Modric have their replacements ready and waiting. Ramos and Varane are a distant memory. Keylor Navas hit the road a while ago. This club is so efficiently run in how they look to maintain success that it's actually scary. Perez has to be the best club president on the planet, doesn't he? Maybe even the best of all time, if we're gonna have that debate. Which makes it all the more poetic that the most costly transfer in the history of Real Madrid has turned out to be a dud. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the threshold for being eligible for winners' medals in all these competitions is. For La Liga, I couldn't find anything, so assuming it's like the Premier League, you need 5 appearances to be eligible. That's either starting or coming off the bench. For the Champions League, it looks like UEFA just gives each winning team a set number of medals and they kind of have to distribute it, how they want to. In any case, Hazard does qualify for these medals, which I kind of knew before just taking one final check, but it's just the fact that I had to double check all of this because I wasn't 100% sure on a player like Eden Hazard, or rather the Eden Hazard I remember, shows you where we're at. Since joining Madrid, Eden Hazard has played only 5 full 90s in La Liga. 5. For a player that Los Blancos paid 100 million euros for, that's way below subpar. In the 4 years that it's taken him to achieve that remarkable stat, he scored 4 goals in the same competition. Add 2 more in the Champions League and 1 more in the Copa del Rey, and we come to a whopping 7 in 75 overall appearances. 12 assists too. The dilemma here is that improvements can always be made, and if Madrid want to push their already stacked team into a new stratosphere, getting rid of £20 million plus in annual wages would go a long way. It's easier said than done though. Now, let's rewind the clock to my guy's Chelsea days. We're met with a player that in 7 seasons never played less than 31 games in a full Premier League campaign. He won 2 Premier League titles as a player of the season in one campaign and damn near it in the other. He made defenders look silly and was arguably even the best player in the world in stretches, even if we're just basing that on form. And he had his best season yet the year before Real Madrid decided to buy him. It's a stark difference, a difference that even science finds it difficult to explain. Now, we can't really be too harsh here. We do have to be wary of the fact that by the time he was shipped off to Real Madrid, his body was essentially made of jelly. The structural integrity of this man's ankles were non-existent. If you watched this guy in England, you would have noticed that he was targeted with extreme prejudice whenever he was on the ball. In 14-15, he was fouled 4.7 times per game. For comparison's sake, Alexis Sanchez, another player that drew tons of fouls, was fouled 2.6 times per game in that same season. More recently, remember the fuss that was made about Jack Grealish getting fouled towards the end of his Aston Villa days? Well, he was fouled about 4.2 times per game in his final year there in 2021. Getting kicked that much has got to do something to not only somebody's body composition, but their mental state too. Since moving over to Madrid, thankfully the frequency of the fouls he receives has decreased dramatically. But then again, that's only because he hasn't been playing, and when he does, the threat of injury looms large. Just look at his list of injuries since joining Madrid as per Transfermarkt. So varied and distributed across his lower body, the constant physical strain very clearly caught up to him. And while it may have seemed that he was playing through his time at Chelsea unscathed, he admitted to needing painkillers after matches all the way back in 2015. Sometimes I am in pain after games. I have to take some anti-inflammatories or something like that. I like to have the ball at my feet, and when I have the ball at my feet, I get a lot of kicks. But this is football. Whenever I feel pain, I try to keep a smile on my face. There's something to be admired about the mentality, there really is. But when it comes at the expense of having your body completely fail you and essentially being finished at 32, perhaps not. Perhaps it was the counsel he was receiving from the Chelsea physio team. Maybe it was his own personal counsel, or maybe it was just him. It's clear that his game time should have been managed better during those days, especially when you consider the fact that he was playing through pain over 8 years ago. The last time we saw this guy start 2 games in a row was at the 2022 World Cup, a tournament that, like many during the Golden Belgian generation run, ended in disappointment. Mega disappointment, actually, a group stage exit. His relationship with Carlo Ancelotti is frequently called into question, which makes sense, especially in the current season where he's more or less been injury-free for large chunks yet has still maintained a place on the bench. Nevertheless, both have come out and stated that their relationship is just fine and that the time will come for him to play more games and, just the usual spiel. You can choose to believe what you want, but regardless of whether they like each other, hate each other, or don't even interact with each other, one thing is obvious. This dude is not in Ancelotti's plans. To be fair, he wasn't in Zinedine Zidane's plans either. Of course, this could be due to him showing up to his first training session overweight, a headline that was made worse by images of him chowing down on burgers and being featured in McDonald's commercials at the time. Again, my goat. He's really just like me for real. All of this really is a shame, and what makes it even harder to digest is that the guy hasn't been involved in any drama at all, on or off the pitch. No scandal about training ground bust-ups, no heated public clashes with the manager or the board of the team, nothing. He shows up to training, does what he's told, and apparently has good relationships and is well liked by his peers and the club staff. At the end of the day, he's just a good guy that's had rotten luck. I mean, that's part of it, but of course there is blame that has to be directed towards him, right? At the moment, I can think of 3 major reasons that explain why this was always going to happen. I already mentioned the decision to play on through injury. That's one. Showing up to training overweight? That's another. And then there's the last one that not only explains the first 2, but does a pretty good job at bringing the entire story together. This man is lazy. How many times have we heard from coaches and players alike that this guy was the worst trainer on the planet and would do close to nothing when running drills, then absolutely light up the match on the weekend? Training and conditioning really does serve a purpose. From a longevity perspective, perhaps this is what was missing, the discipline to mold his body into one that can withstand all the torture he's been put through. We also have to remember that this is the same guy that openly admitted that he doesn't have the drive to be the best and that he gets complacent very easily, saying that he never had the drive of the Messis or the Ronaldos of the world and that he's ready to pack it up after scoring a single goal. Then again, to argue the other side it is possible that it's just bad luck. Neymar, on the other hand, has always been labeled as a great trainer at both Barcelona and PSG, yet he spends just as much time on the nursing bed as Hazard. Plus, we haven't, or at least I haven't, heard anything about any poor training habits at Madrid. So maybe his approach to training, at the very least, has changed. Despite all of this, unless some sort of agreement is put in place between Hazard and Madrid, which I doubt will happen, I think he'll be around for the long haul. At the same time, that means very little to us as fans. And the reason I say that is because I highly doubt we will hear all that much about him or see all that much of him. And there we have it. Let me know what you guys think about Eden Hazard. That's all from me today. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you're all having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.